In the last episode of humanity's struggle to survive the devastating consequences of environmental disaster and societal collapse, a new leader emerged. Amidst the ruins, a brilliant entrepreneur named Ambrose Wynter forged unlikely alliances with marginalized species and propelled humanity forward with cutting-edge technology. As he navigated the complex landscape of alien politics, old rivalries were rekindled and new ones forged. Darkness surrounded Ambrose as he stood at the edge of the makeshift observatory, his eyes fixed on the stars twinkling like diamonds against the inky blackness of space. The weight of his past decisions settled upon him like a shroud. A faint hum filled the air as the life support systems hummed in the background, a reminder of the fragile existence humanity clung to. Ambrose's thoughts were interrupted by the soft chime of his comms device. Ambrose to command center, respond. Ambrose's voice was firm as he waited for a response. This is command center, Ambrose. We have a situation unfolding on the surface. Reports are coming in of an unidentified craft entering Earth's atmosphere. Ambrose's grip on the railing tightened as he processed the information. Put me through to the surface surveillance team now. The comms device beeped again. Ambrose connected to surveillance team. Go ahead. We've got a visual on the craft. It's unlike anything we've seen before. It's descending rapidly, heading straight for the settlement. Ambrose's mind racing with possibilities, he turned to the view screen and activated it. The grainy image of the craft filled the screen. Get me a closer look. The image zoomed in, revealing a craft that seemed to defy known aerodynamics. Ambrose's eyes narrowed as he analyzed the data streaming across the screen. This could be the break we need or a catastrophic threat. We have to be ready for either scenario. Alert the defense grid and prep our fighters for scramble. Acknowledged Ambrose. As Ambrose waited for the situation to unfold, he couldn't shake the feeling that this was more than just an unidentified craft entering Earth's atmosphere. It was a sign of change, a harbinger of events that would reshape the fate of humanity. The view screen flickered with updates as the situation on the ground unfolded. The unidentified craft had landed on the outskirts of the settlement, sending plumes of dust into the air. A mixture of excitement and trepidation filled Ambrose's chest. This could be the start of something new. A soft chime interrupted his thoughts. Ambrose to Commander Ortega, report. Ortega's voice was laced with a mix of caution and curiosity. Ambrose were reading multiple life signs emerging from the craft. They're not responding to our hails, requesting further instructions. Ambrose's eyes remained fixed on the view screen as he weighed his options. Instruct Ortega to establish a perimeter and prepare a diplomatic team. Well, attempt to establish communication. The response was immediate. Roger that. Ambrose establishing perimeter and prepping diplomatic team. The waiting game had begun. As Ambrose stood there, the fate of humanity hanging in the balance, he couldn't help but wonder what the future held. The unknown craft and its occupants were about to change everything. The silence was oppressive as Ambrose waited for the outcome of the diplomatic team's attempt to communicate with the newcomers. Minutes ticked by like hours. Suddenly, his comms device beeped. Ambrose to diplomatic team, report. The diplomat's voice was tinged with a mix of excitement and apprehension. Ambrose, we've made contact with the occupants. They're representatives of an alien species unlike any we've encountered. They're requesting a meeting with you. Ambrose's thoughts swirled with the implications of this encounter. Accept their request. I'll meet with them personally. The diplomat's response was immediate. Roger that. Ambrose were arranging the meeting. As Ambrose prepared to meet the alien representatives, he couldn't shake the feeling that this encounter would change the course of human history. The fate of humanity hung in the balance as Ambrose stepped forward to face the unknown. With a deep breath, he steeled himself for what was to come. The meeting with the aliens would be the first step into a new era for humanity. And as he walked towards the meeting chamber, a sense of trepidation settled in, the weight of the unknown pressing down upon him. The door slid open, and Ambrose stepped into the unknown. A figure cloaked in shadows stood before him. "Greetings, I am Ambrose Wynter, leader of humanity." The figure slowly stepped forward, revealing a being unlike any Ambrose had ever seen. "I am Ambassador Zorvath from the planet Zeridia." Ambrose's eyes locked onto the ambassadors as the fate of humanity hung precariously in the balance. The meeting had begun, but its outcome was far from certain. As the two leaders began to discuss the terms of their encounter, Ambrose couldn't help but wonder what lay ahead for humanity. The course of history was about to be forever altered. The darkness outside seemed to press in around them, a reminder of the vast unknown that lay ahead. But Ambrose stood tall, ready to face whatever challenges came his way. For in a universe full of mysteries and untold dangers, one thing was certain. Humanity's future was about to take a dramatic turn. The air was thick with tension as Ambrose and Ambassador Zorvath began their negotiations. Ambrose's eyes never left the ambassadors, searching for any sign of deception or hidden motives. "So, Ambassador," Ambrose started, his voice even and calm, "what brings Zeridia to our humble planet?" Zorvath's smile was enigmatic, but Ambrose detected a hint of curiosity in the ambassador's gaze. "We've been watching humanity's progress, Ambrose. Your species has shown remarkable resilience and adaptability. We believe it's time for Zeridia to extend a hand in friendship and cooperation." Ambrose's instincts told him that Zorvath wasn't revealing the whole truth, but he decided to play along for now. "I appreciate your offer, Ambassador. What kind of cooperation did you have in mind?" Zorvath's eyes gleamed with an intensity that made Ambrose's skin crawl. "We can provide advanced technology, Ambrose, tech that will help humanity rebuild and thrive. In return, we ask for access to your planet's resources." Ambrose's grip on the armrests tightened as he processed the ambassador's words. This was too good to be true. There had to be a catch. "I am intrigued, Ambassador," Ambrose said, keeping his tone neutral, "but I need to consult with my advisors before making any commitments. Can you provide more information on the technology you're offering?" Zorvath nodded, producing a small, sleek device from his cloak. "This contains all the details you need. I am confident you'll find our proposal enlightening." Ambrose took the device, his mind racing with possibilities. This could be the break humanity needed or a clever trap. He needed to tread carefully. As the meeting drew to a close, Ambrose extended a hand, sealing the deal with a firm handshake. "I'll review the proposal, Ambassador. Expect a response soon." Zorvath's smile grew wider, and for a moment, Ambrose thought he saw a flash of something else in the ambassador's eyes, something that sent a shiver down his spine. The darkness outside seemed to grow thicker, as if the very fabric of the universe was watching the two leaders, waiting for their next move. As Ambrose escorted Zorvath out of the meeting chamber, he called for his advisors to assemble. He needed to dissect the Zeridian proposal to uncover any hidden agendas. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, and Ambrose knew he had to be the one to tip the scales. In the hours that followed, Ambrose's team pored over the Zeridian proposal, analyzing every detail. The technology offered was indeed advanced, but there were gaps in the documentation, holes that made Ambrose's skin crawl. He couldn't shake the feeling that Zeridia was hiding something, that this supposed act of friendship was actually a clever ruse. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the ruins of Earth in a golden glow, Ambrose made his decision. He would accept the Zeridian proposal, but with conditions. He would not let humanity be swayed by false promises. The game was on, and Ambrose was ready to play. The stakes were high, but he was determined to emerge victorious, no matter the cost. With a deep breath, Ambrose stepped into the unknown, ready to face the challenges that lay ahead. The course of human history was about to take a dramatic turn, and he was the one holding the reins. The night air was alive with the hum of machinery as Ambrose's team worked tirelessly to prepare for the next phase of their plan. The meeting chamber, now empty, still echoed with the weight of Zorvath's words. Ambrose's instincts screamed that Zeridia's intentions were far from pure. He walked into the dimly lit control room, where his advisors huddled around a holographic display projecting the Zeridian proposal. Dr. Patel, her eyes red from lack of sleep, looked up as Ambrose approached. "Ambrose, we've found something," she said, her voice laced with urgency. "A hidden protocol in the proposal's code. It's a backdoor designed to give Zeridia access to our entire infrastructure." Ambrose's grip on the railing tightened. "How deep does it go?" "It's a root-level compromise," Dr. Patel replied. "If we accept their proposal, we'll be handing Zeridia the keys to our entire operation." Ambrose's eyes narrowed. This was exactly what he had feared. Zeridia wasn't offering a helping hand, they were trying to take control. "What's the plan, Ambrose?" Dr. Kim asked, her eyes locked on his. "Well, accept their proposal," Ambrose said, a cold determination spreading through his veins. "But we'll do it on our terms. We'll create a counter backdoor, one that will give us access to Zeridia's systems." A chorus of nods erupted from his team as they began brainstorming, the room filling with the hum of activity. In the hours that followed, Ambrose's team worked tirelessly to craft a response to Zeridia's proposal. They pored over lines of code, crafting a delicate balance of deception and counter-deception. As the first light of dawn crept over the horizon, Ambrose stood before Zorvath, a confident smile on his face. "Ambassador, I've reviewed your proposal. We're willing to accept your offer, but with certain adjustments." Zorvath's eyes gleamed with interest as Ambrose presented the revised agreement. The ambassador's eyes scanned the documents, his expression unreadable. "I believe we can come to an agreement, Ambrose," Zorvath said finally, his voice dripping with satisfaction. "Zeridia will provide the technology, and in return, you will grant us access to your planet's resources." Ambrose's heart raced as he extended a hand, sealing the deal. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, and Ambrose knew he was walking a tightrope. As Zorvath departed, Ambrose felt a chill run down his spine. He had just made a deal with the devil, and the consequences were far from certain. The darkness outside seemed to grow thicker, as if the universe itself was watching, waiting for the next move. Ambrose knew that this was only the beginning. The game was on, and he would stop at nothing to protect humanity. The stakes were higher than ever, and Ambrose was ready to play. In the shadows, a figure watched unseen, a figure who had been waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The time for patience was over. The time for action had begun. The course of human history was about to take a dramatic turn, and Ambrose was just the beginning. As the deal was sealed, Ambrose's team breathed a collective sigh of relief, but their leader's instincts screamed caution. He knew that Zeridia's true intentions remained shrouded in mystery, and the weight of Zorvath's words still lingered. "Ambrose, we need to move quickly," Dr. Patel advised, her eyes locked on the holographic display. "We must integrate their technology into our systems before they can exploit the backdoor." Ambrose nodded, his mind racing with the implications. "Begin the integration process, but proceed with caution. I want multiple firewalls in place and a team monitoring the system around the clock." Dr. Kim's brow furrowed. "Ambrose, are you expecting a betrayal?" "I'm expecting the unexpected," he replied, his gaze sweeping the room. "We've played our hand, now it's time to wait and see how Zeridia responds." As the team dispersed, Ambrose's thoughts turned to the mysterious figure watching from the shadows. Who were they and what was their ultimate goal? The question lingered, refusing to be silenced. Hours ticked by, each one filled with an underlying sense of tension. Ambrose's team worked tirelessly, their focus laser-sharp as they worked to integrate the Zeridian technology. In the midst of the chaos, a soft chime echoed through the control room, signaling an incoming transmission. Ambrose's heart quickened as he turned to face the holoscreen. "Ambassador Zorvath, what can I do for you?" Ambrose asked, his tone measured. Zorvath's image flickered, a calculating glint in his eye. "Ambrose, I've received word that a rogue faction has infiltrated our ranks. They plan to sabotage our efforts, and I believe they'll stop at nothing. Ambrose's instincts flared to life. What do you propose we do? I require your assistance, Ambrose, Zorvath replied, his voice laced with a hint of desperation. Together, we must eliminate this threat and ensure our partnership remains intact. Ambrose's grip on the railing tightened. This was the moment he'd been waiting for, the opportunity to gain the upper hand. He took a deep breath, weighing his response carefully. I'll send a team to assist you, Ambassador, but I must warn you, I'll be watching your every move. Zorvath's expression turned cryptic, but a subtle nod betrayed his understanding of the unspoken terms. As the transmission ended, Ambrose turned to his team. We have a new mission. Assemble a team and prepare to infiltrate Zeridia's ranks. It's time we took the initiative. Doctor. Patel's eyes locked onto his, a hint of concern etched on her face. Ambrose, are you certain this is wise? We're walking a thin line. Ambrose's smile was cold, calculated. We're not walking a thin line, Dr. Patel. We're dancing on the edge of chaos. And I am ready to take the leap. The shadows seemed to grow darker, as if the universe itself was holding its breath, waiting for the next move. And Ambrose was more than ready to oblige. The mission briefing was swift and decisive, with hand-picked members of Ambrose's team gathering around the holographic display. Dr. Patel's strategic mind navigated the layout of Zeridia's stronghold, identifying key vulnerabilities and potential entry points. Dr. Kim's expertise in cryptography was essential in infiltrating Zeridia's communication networks, allowing them to stay one step ahead of the rogue faction. Dr. Ryder's tactical prowess would guide the team through the labyrinthine corridors, ensuring they remained undetected. Ambrose's eyes scanned the room, his mind racing with contingency plans and exit strategies. This was a high-stakes gamble, but the potential payoff was worth the risk. As the team dispersed to gear up, Ambrose caught Dr. Patel's attention. Rashmi, I need you to monitor Zeridia's system from the outside. If they detect our presence, be prepared to create a diversion to buy us time. Dr. Patel nodded, her eyes flashing with determination. I'll be ready, Ambrose. You can count on me. The waiting was over. Ambrose's team melted into the shadows, their footsteps silent as they breached Zeridia's perimeter. The air was thick with tension as they navigated the winding corridors, avoiding detectable zones and security patrols. Dr. Kim's voice whispered in Ambrose's ear, I've hacked into their internal comms. The rogue faction is planning to sabotage the energy core. We need to move now. Ambrose led the charge, his team fanning out in a tight formation as they converged on the energy core. The hum of machinery grew louder, and the air vibrated with the pulse of power. A faint disturbance echoed through the corridor, alerting Ambrose to the presence of the rogue faction. His hand instinctively reached for the pistol at his hip, his senses on high alert. The mission was far from over. In fact, it was only just beginning. Suddenly, the lights flickered, and a low, ominous laughter resonated through the corridor. Ambrose's heart sank as a figure emerged from the shadows, the mysterious figure he had sensed watching from the fringes. Welcome, Ambrose Wynter, the figure said, its voice low and menacing. I've been waiting for you. You see, I have a proposition for you, one that will change the course of human history forever. The figure took a step forward, its features illuminated by the flickering lights. Ambrose's instincts screamed warning, but he stood firm, his eyes locked on the figure. Who are you? Ambrose demanded, his hand still resting on the grip of his pistol. The figure chuckled, the sound sending a shiver down Ambrose's spine. I am Archaea, a being from a realm beyond your understanding, and I have come to offer you a deal. Ambrose's team remained frozen, their eyes darting between Archaea and their leader. Dr. Kim's gaze was fixed on the holographic display, her fingers hovering over the console as she monitored the energy core systems. What kind of deal? Ambrose asked, his voice firm but cautious. Archaea's gaze seemed to bore into Ambrose's soul. I possess knowledge of the ancient technologies that once shaped the galaxy. With my assistance, humanity can reclaim its rightful place among the stars. Ambrose's mind raced with the implications. This was the opportunity he had been searching for, the key to unlocking humanity's true potential. But at what cost? And what do you want in return? Ambrose asked, his voice laced with skepticism. Archaea's smile grew wider, its eyes glinting with an otherworldly intensity. I want you to join me in a new venture, one that will bring about a new era of cooperation and progress. Together we can reshape the galaxy in our image. The words hung in the air like a challenge, and Ambrose sensed the weight of history pivoting on this moment. He glanced at his team, searching for signs of unease or doubt, but their faces were set in determined resolve. I am listening, Ambrose said, his voice barely above a whisper. Archaea's laughter echoed through the corridor, the sound sending shivers down Ambrose's spine. Excellent. Then let us begin our partnership and forge a new destiny for humanity. As Archaea's words faded, the energy core's hum grew louder, and the air seemed to vibrate with an electric tension. Ambrose's team remained frozen, their eyes locked on the mysterious figure, as the fate of humanity hung in the balance. In that moment, Ambrose knew that everything had changed. The stakes had been raised, and the course of human history was about to take a dramatic turn. He steeled himself for the unknown, his mind racing with the possibilities and the risks. The mission briefing was over. The real mission was about to begin. With a deep breath, Ambrose extended his hand, his palm facing upwards in a gesture of acceptance. Archaea's gaze locked onto his, and with an unspoken understanding, their hands clasped, sealing the deal. As their hands touched, the lights flickered once more, and the energy core's hum reached a crescendo. The air seemed to charged with an electrifying energy, and Ambrose felt the weight of his decision settle upon him. He had just made a pact with a being from another realm, and the consequences would be far-reaching and unpredictable. But one thing was certain: humanity would never be the same again. The room seemed to hold its breath as Ambrose's hand closed around Archaea's, the seal of their pact resonating through the galaxy. Dr. Kim's eyes darted between the two, her brow furrowed in concern, while the rest of the team stood frozen, their faces set in determined resolve. As the energy core's hum reached its peak, the air vibrated with an electric tension, and the darkness outside seemed to recede, as if the very fabric of reality was bending to accommodate this newfound alliance. Ambrose felt a surge of power course through him, a sense of limitless possibility unfolding like a canvas before him. The thrill of the unknown was intoxicating, and he knew that he had crossed a threshold, leaving the familiar bounds of human ingenuity behind. I will provide you with the knowledge of the ancient technologies, Archaea declared, its voice like a gentle breeze on a summer's day. Together, we will unlock the secrets of the cosmos and forge a new path for humanity. As Archaea spoke, the energy core's hum began to subside, its pulsing lights slowing to a gentle rhythm. The air seemed to relax, the tension dissipating as the team exhaled collectively. Dr. Kim stepped forward, her eyes shining with curiosity. "What kind of technologies are we talking about, Archaea?" she asked, her voice laced with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. Archaea's smile grew wider, its eyes glinting with an otherworldly intensity. The secrets of faster-than-light travel, advanced artificial intelligence, and the harnessing of exotic energies. With these technologies, humanity will be able to explore the galaxy, colonize new worlds, and unlock the hidden potential of the cosmos. Ambrose's mind raced with the implications, his vision for humanity's future expanding to encompass the infinite possibilities. He felt a sense of pride and responsibility, knowing that he had taken the first step towards securing humanity's place among the stars. As the team began to murmur among themselves, Ambrose raised a hand, his eyes locked on Archaea. "Let us get started then," he declared, his voice firm and resolute. "We have a galaxy to explore and a new era to forge." Archaea's laughter echoed through the corridor, the sound sending shivers down Ambrose's spine. Then let us begin our journey, it said, its voice dripping with anticipation. Together, we will reshape the galaxy in our image and forge a new destiny for humanity. With those words, the room seemed to shift, the air charged with an electrifying energy as the team began to mobilize, their faces set in determined resolve. Ambrose felt a sense of pride and purpose, knowing that he had set humanity on a path towards greatness. As they worked tirelessly to unlock the secrets of the ancient technologies, Ambrose couldn't shake off the feeling that they were being watched, that unseen eyes were peering from the shadows, waiting for humanity to make its next move. The galaxy was full of secrets, and Ambrose knew that they had only scratched the surface of a much larger, more complex puzzle. But he was undaunted, his determination to secure humanity's place among the stars driving him forward, into the unknown. As the days turned into weeks, the team's progress was nothing short of phenomenal. Ambrose's vision for humanity's future had galvanized the team, and they worked tirelessly to unlock the secrets of the ancient technologies. Dr. Kim's expertise in AI development had yielded breakthroughs, and the team had successfully replicated the aliens' advanced AI systems. The hum of machinery and the whir of tools filled the air as the team labored to construct a prototype faster-than-light drive. Ambrose walked among them, his eyes scanning the bustling room, his mind racing with the implications of their discoveries. Meanwhile, Archaea's presence was a constant, its guidance and wisdom invaluable as the team navigated the complexities of the ancient technologies. Ambrose had grown accustomed to the alien's enigmatic smile, and the way its eyes seemed to bore into his very soul. But amidst the excitement and discovery, Ambrose couldn't shake off the feeling of being watched. He had tried to brush it off as paranoia, but the sense of unease lingered, refusing to be dismissed. One night, as he pored over schematics in his quarters, Ambrose sensed a presence behind him. He turned to find Archaea standing in the doorway, its eyes fixed intently on him. "What is it, Archaea?" Ambrose asked, his hand instinctively reaching for the datapad on his desk. "I sense a disturbance in the fabric of space-time," Archaea replied, its voice low and urgent. "A ripple in the cosmos, one that could have far-reaching consequences for humanity." Ambrose's heart quickened as he set the datapad aside. "What kind of disturbance?" he pressed, his mind racing with the possibilities. "A temporal anomaly," Archaea replied, its eyes glinting with an otherworldly intensity. "One that could allow for time travel or even alter the course of human history." Ambrose's eyes widened as the implications sank in. Time travel. The possibilities were endless and the potential consequences both exhilarating and terrifying. "Where is it?" Ambrose asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "In the outer rim of the galaxy," Archaea replied. "A region fraught with danger but also ripe with opportunity." Ambrose's mind was already racing with the possibilities. He felt the weight of responsibility settling upon him, the burden of shaping humanity's destiny. "I'll assemble a team," Ambrose declared, his eyes locked on Archaea. "We'll investigate this anomaly and unlock its secrets." Archaea's smile grew wider, its eyes glinting with an otherworldly intensity. "Then let us begin our journey into the unknown," it said, its voice dripping with anticipation. As Ambrose rallied his team, the sense of unease that had been plaguing him began to recede. He knew that they stood on the cusp of a new era, one that would see humanity emerge as a dominant force in the galaxy. But little did Ambrose know, they were not the only ones searching for the temporal anomaly. In the shadows, rival factions watched and waited, their intentions shrouded in mystery. And as Ambrose and his team set course for the outer rim, they were about to embark on a journey that would change the course of human history forever. The team's excitement was palpable as they gathered in the briefing room, their faces set with determination. Ambrose stood at the forefront, his eyes scanning the room as he outlined the mission parameters. "All right, team," Ambrose began, his voice clear and crisp. "Our objective is to investigate the temporal anomaly and determine its potential for humanity. We'll be venturing into uncharted territory, so caution is key. Dr. Kim nodded, her eyes sparkling with interest. I've run simulations, and our AI systems are capable of navigating the anomaly's energy signature. We'll be able to gather data and potentially even harness its power. Ambrose nodded, his mind racing with the possibilities. Archaea, can you provide guidance on navigating the anomaly itself? Archaea's smile was enigmatic. The anomaly is a gateway to the time stream, Ambrose. I will provide you with the necessary coordinates, but be warned. The fabric of time is fragile. Your actions will have consequences. Ambrose's team exchanged nervous glances, but he pressed on, undeterred. All right, let's get to work. We'll need to assemble a team of experts, including engineers, physicists, and security personnel. We'll depart within 48 hours. As the briefing concluded, the team dispersed, their faces set with determination. Ambrose watched them go, his mind racing with the implications of their mission. He knew that they stood on the cusp of a new era, one that would see humanity emerge as a dominant force in the galaxy. But as he turned to leave, he caught a glimpse of a figure lurking in the shadows. The figure was shrouded in darkness, their features indistinguishable. Ambrose's instincts screamed warning, and he knew that they were not alone in their pursuit of the temporal anomaly. He made a mental note to increase security measures, his mind racing with the possibilities of rival factions and hidden agendas. The game was afoot, and Ambrose would stop at nothing to ensure humanity's dominance. As the team worked tirelessly to prepare for their mission, Ambrose couldn't shake off the feeling of being watched. He knew that they were about to embark on a journey that would change the course of human history, but at what cost? The hours ticked by, and the sense of anticipation grew. Ambrose's team was ready, their equipment and expertise honed to perfection. They stood at the threshold of a new era, one that would see humanity emerge as a dominant force in the galaxy. And as they set course for the outer rim, Ambrose's heart pounded with excitement. They were about to embark on a journey that would change the course of human history forever. The darkness outside the briefing room seemed to closing in, the shadows deepening as Ambrose's gaze lingered on the mysterious figure. He knew that in a world of complex alliances and rivalries, trust was a luxury he couldn't afford. Archaea, he whispered, his eyes locked on the enigmatic being. Do you sense anything unusual? Archaea's gaze flickered, her eyes seeming to bore into the shadows. There is a presence, Ambrose, one that is not entirely human. Ambrose's grip on his datapad tightened, his mind racing with the implications. He knew that in the world of alien politics, nothing was as it seemed. Dr. Kim, he called out, his voice low and urgent. I need you to run a sweep of the facility's security feeds. I want to know who that figure is and what they're doing here. Dr. Kim nodded, her fingers flying across her console as she accessed the security systems. Ambrose watched, his eyes darting between the shadows and the team, his senses on high alert. The minutes ticked by, the tension building as they waited for Dr. Kim's results. Ambrose's team worked quietly, their faces set with determination, but he knew they were all thinking the same thing: who was behind the mysterious figure and what did they want? I've got something, Doctor. Kim called out, her eyes fixed on her console. The figure is a rogue agent sent by the Kralian Empire. They're trying to sabotage our mission. Ambrose's heart raced, his mind reeling with the implications. The Kralian Empire was one of the most powerful factions in the galaxy, and their involvement could spell disaster for humanity's chances of emerging as a dominant force. Get me a lock on their frequency, Ambrose ordered, his voice firm. I want to know what they're planning. Dr. Kim nodded, her fingers flying across her console as she accessed the communication systems. Ambrose watched, his eyes locked on the shadows, his senses on high alert. The silence was oppressive, the tension building as they waited for Dr. Kim's results. Ambrose knew that they were running out of time and that the fate of humanity hung in the balance. Suddenly, Dr. Kim's console beeped, and she looked up, her eyes grave. Ambrose, I've got something. The Kralian Empire is planning to attack our convoy as we approach the temporal anomaly. Ambrose's heart skipped a beat, his mind racing with the implications. They were about to embark on a journey that would change the course of human history, but at what cost? "Alert the team," he called out, his voice firm. "We need to get moving now." The room erupted into chaos, the team scrambling to prepare for the impending attack. Ambrose watched, his eyes locked on the shadows, his senses on high alert. They were about to embark on a journey that would change the course of human history forever. But first, they had to survive the Kralian Empire's brutal attack. The sound of alarms and shouting filled the air as Ambrose's team scrambled to respond to the impending attack. The briefing room was abandoned, its occupants rushing to their stations to prepare for the battle ahead. Ambrose's heart raced as he sprinted through the corridors, his mind focused on the task at hand. He knew that their only hope for survival lay in reaching the temporal anomaly before the Kralian Empire's forces caught up to them. As he burst onto the bridge, he was greeted by the frantic faces of his crew. "Ambrose, we've got multiple contacts on our sensors," Captain Patel called out, her voice tight with tension. "The Kralian Empire's forces are closing in on our position." Ambrose nodded, his eyes locked on the holographic display projecting the battlefield. "Get me a firing solution, Captain. We need to take out their command ship if we're going to have any chance of surviving this." Captain Patel nodded, her fingers flying across her console as she worked to target the enemy command ship. Ambrose watched, his heart pounding in his chest, as the seconds ticked away. The silence was oppressive, the tension building as they waited for the enemy to make their move. Ambrose knew that they were outnumbered and outgunned, but he refused to give up. Suddenly, the enemy command ship burst into view, its cannons blazing as it opened fire on their convoy. Ambrose's ship rocked violently, the impact throwing him off balance. "Hold steady, Captain," Ambrose called out, his voice firm. "We need to return fire." The captain nodded, her eyes fixed on her console as she worked to target the enemy ship. Ambrose watched, his heart racing as the battle raged on. The minutes ticked by, the battle intense and chaotic. Ambrose's ship took a beating, its shields weakening with every passing moment. Just when it seemed like all was lost, a burst of light filled the sky as a group of ships emerged from hyperspace. The Kralian Empire's forces faltered, their attention drawn to the new arrivals. Ambrose's eyes narrowed as he watched the newcomers engage the enemy forces. "Who are they?" he asked, his voice low. Captain Patel's eyes flickered to her console before returning to Ambrose. "It's the Xilian Imperium, Ambrose. They've come to our aid." Ambrose's gaze locked on the Xilian ships, his mind racing with the implications. The Xilian Imperium was a powerful faction, one that could tip the balance of power in their favor. But at what cost? As the battle raged on, Ambrose knew that he had to make a choice. Trust the Xilian Imperium or go it alone. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, and Ambrose knew that the wrong decision could have catastrophic consequences. The darkness outside seemed to deepen, the shadows closing in as Ambrose weighed his options. He knew that the course of human history hung in the balance, and that the decision he made would determine the future of the galaxy. With a deep breath, Ambrose made his choice. "Captain, hail the Xilian Imperium. We need to talk." Captain Patel nodded, her fingers flying across her console as she established a secure channel with the Xilian Imperium. Ambrose's heart raced with anticipation, his eyes fixed on the holographic display projecting the battlefield. The minutes ticked by, the silence oppressive as they waited for the Xilian Imperium's response. Ambrose's crew worked tirelessly to repair the damage to their ship, their faces set with determination. Finally, a figure appeared on the viewscreen, its features stern and unforgiving. "I am Admiral Xandria of the Xilian Imperium," it stated, its voice firm. "We have come to aid humanity in its hour of need." Ambrose's gaze locked on the Admiral, his mind racing with questions. "Why?" he asked, his voice blunt. Admiral Xandria's expression remained unyielding. The Kralian Empire's aggression threatens the balance of power in the galaxy. We cannot allow them to dominate the cosmos. Ambrose's eyes narrowed, his instincts screaming warnings. "What do you want in return for your aid?" he asked, his voice cautious. The Admiral's expression softened, its eyes glinting with calculation. "We require a strategic alliance, Ambassador Wynter. Together, we can crush the Kralian Empire and secure a brighter future for our respective species." Ambrose's heart raced as he weighed the pros and cons. An alliance with the Xilian Imperium would grant humanity a powerful ally, but at what cost? Would they be trading one master for another? He looked around the bridge, his gaze meeting the eyes of his crew. They trusted him, believed in him, and he knew he couldn't let them down. With a deep breath, Ambrose made his decision. "I accept your proposal, Admiral Xandria. Let us work together to defeat the Kralian Empire and forge a new era of cooperation between our species." The Admiral's expression softened, its eyes gleaming with approval. "Then let us begin, Ambassador Wynter. Together, we shall shape the destiny of the galaxy." As the Xilian Imperium's ships joined forces with humanity, Ambrose's heart swelled with hope. They had taken the first step towards a brighter future, one where humanity stood as equals alongside the galaxy's most powerful factions. But as he looked out into the vast expanse of space, Ambrose knew that their journey was far from over. New challenges lurked on the horizon, waiting to test their resolve and determination. With a fierce determination burning within him, Ambrose stood tall, ready to face the future and forge a new path for humanity. The galaxy was full of uncertainties, but one thing was clear. Ambrose Wynter would not be swayed from his vision of a better tomorrow. The dawn of a new era had begun, and Ambrose stood at the forefront, his heart beating with anticipation, his spirit unbroken. The course of human history had been forever altered, and Ambrose knew that the best was yet to come.